Welcome back to all. I hope that you enjoy your breakout discussions. And now, so we are going to start the last session. And I will give the floor to the three rapporteurs from the three breakout sessions. Enrique, I do it?
I can't report back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So on the group on the energy communities, we had quite an intense group. I don't know if Monique or you, Pascal, can share the.
Yes, I share it.
You will see all the post-its, and I'll try to summarize just the main aspects that were discussed. First, we were discussing about the difficulties of the subject. First, in terms of market players and the whole ecosystems, because we have monopolies that traditionally have provided the energy services. We have the national administrations, where we see that in many places the framework is not there. So how to deal with that conflict that we are generating with the energy communities? It's a very important challenge, and the solution suggested is that this is something that needs to be pushed by governments. These companies will try to prevent these changes happening, so it is very important. Without having local national governments and the right enabling political framework in place, it's very difficult for the energy communities to happen. In that sense, there is a lot of work to be done in terms of awareness raising at national level. There were a number of comments saying, look, our government still doesn't understand what is the value of bringing or supporting energy communities. So there is a lot of work to be done there. But as well at the local level, there is a lot of work to be done in terms of raising awareness of the value of the energy communities, why local citizens and SMEs should engage in energy community, what is the value that they get. So here, what it's very important is to really support, in terms of recommendations, to really support the work of local associations to engage the communities or raise awareness about them. They can trigger the effect, they can mobilize the rest of the communities, use the local media. So basically give the capacities and the resources at local level to be able to animate, mobilize, knock on the doors, use commercials in the local radios, etc. So to gain visibility. Once you kick the ball running, a lot of people will join. In terms of the local capacities, that has been as well a very important issue. And here again, we have those communities that want to do things. They have a social capital, they have the technical know-how, they want to move forward, but the framework is not there to help them. But then on the other hand, as well, we have these communities which lack this social capital, which lack the technical expertise, that need definitely additional support. We have seen examples applied in other contexts, like the energy poverty context, where there is the support from organizations that participate and support these local actors. Here was said that the role of, for instance, leader groups, it's essential to the point that it was considered that they really need to be enabled and participate in community group, drive them forward, but as well that they need to be enabled to support a small investment within those communities, which, by the way, was raised. It was not the case in some member states where leader was not really allowed to work on this project, or at least not perfectly understood. In terms of finance, of course, it was said it was also a very important point. How do we ensure that these energy communities get access to not only public finance and public support, but also private support? Here again, as well, the issue of capacities and awareness raising was raised. There are a lot of private banks, cooperative credit unions, etc., that could potentially support this type of initiatives, but they are not aware, they are not familiar with them. So they're really they're not used to with this type of projects, so they are not engaging that much. So this is a target audience that should be targeted for raising awareness, improve capacities, and also provide perhaps the right mechanisms for them to really mobilize them to support the projects, which in most cases are viable from a business point of view. But in addition, we have a big constellation of a lot of public funding available, to name some: Cohesion, the Resilient Fund, the Common Agricultural Policy Modernization Fund, climate. There are plenty of them. Now, what has been raised as a potential, so as a good recommendation to really be able to make sure these funds channel their resources specifically to rural areas and on this topic, which should, in principle, is under their political framework, would be to really have some sort of indicators that can indicate how much of this money is being deployed, particularly in rural areas. It is seen that this way we can enable and facilitate that there is an enabling policy framework that can help enough financial resources to help with the energy communities. The last 2 points, it's about the two important actors to work with. The farmers, the farming community, it's an important one. The creation of these communities need to be done in an open and transparent way, involving the farming communities to avoid some of the tensions that were identified in terms of land use or degradation of landscape. Putting big infrastructure in places that not the whole population would be really on board with. Using productive land, turn it into solar panels. There has to be an engagement, there has to be an open dialogue. And last but not least, what has been highlighted is the involvement of youth. Youth as key actors, with key stakeholders with a lot of energy that can energize this community energy. They have a lot of ideas for their communities, and there are also funds available to enable this engagement. It was mentioned Erasmus Plus, to engage these youth, to raise awareness, build capacities, make them participate in the creation of these community energy communities.
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you very much. Personally, I have nothing to add. I don't know, Monique, if Enrique has forgotten something, but I think it was quite complete. So now I'm going, if there is no other points, to give the floor to who is reporting?
It's me.
It's you.
I will share my screen as soon as you stop sharing.
Okay. I'm stopping. I'm trying to stop.
Yes.
Trying to stop. Go out.
Okay, very good.
This for you now.
Yes. So then for group 2, we were discussing the SECAPs, Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plans. And we identified quite a few challenges that are overlapping with the ones in the other group, but we had also, keeping in mind, SECAPs are very, very focused on local authorities and municipalities. So this, of course, they are the key actor, and we really had to. It was clear that the involvement of mayors is essential. It's basic, but it's also important to bring to link up with the higher levels, regional and national. Of course, with the local politicians, the issue is always the short term of office. I mean, these plans have to go on for a long period. So it's important how to maintain this continuity, even in political changes. Small local, especially rural municipalities often lack experience. And there's this usual dilemma: do they need more advice or do they need more money? And or ideally in parallel, both should be provided. So but actually we were better at solutions than at challenges. We had quite a few practical solutions from the experiences that were presented mainly from the Italian examples, from Giulia and also Umberto, who joined us in the breakout room. So we had a lot of ideas about how to, when the municipalities alone are too small, what you need is bringing them together and organizing them together, and either they have a joint common plan, common action plan, common SECAP, completely like one unified one, or even if they have all their own separate measures, it's still possible to work towards common goals. And for example, specific solutions are joint procurement, so joint purchases of like photovoltaic panels and things, investments. They can save a lot of resources in not just money, but also human resources for procurement and so on, by doing that together. And of course, the mayors can also mobilize private investors, talk to them. The important thing is that the plans themselves are formulated in a very clear way with easy checkpoints, let's say checking points, so that the community can understand them, and then therefore the community can continue to be involved. We had a lot of points about multi-level governance and this connection between the local and the regional level. And we also had the solution that is working in Italy, which is the public-private energy agencies. In terms of transferability, we said that overall many of the rules are common across the EU, but it has to be kept in mind that there are still differences between these macro regions in Europe, and that, for example, in Eastern Europe, or Central and Eastern Europe, there's still lack of connection between the local level and the regional and national levels. So that can still be something to be kept in mind. And in terms of supportive frameworks, we have focused very much on some of it was funding. So there's the regional funding, and there is this special city facility, which has been helpful, for example, in Umberto's case, for the whole group of municipalities who joined together. The technical support is provided by Covenant of Mayors, and there are different organizations that are supporting this networking and bringing together. We mentioned here this energy agency. There is also a European network of or federation of these energy agencies, which is also a supportive framework. We had some discussion whether leader CLLD can be helpful in fostering SECAPs. It wasn't very clear, that's why we have a question mark, but at least it's good to keep that in mind as an option. And then for lessons and recommendations, many of these lessons and recommendations were actually for new entrants into the SECAP world, so new mayors or municipalities who would like to go into this idea. So definitely don't try to reinvent the wheel, but ask for help. Help is already available. Very important to talk to your population. You ensure continuity because the mayor is not always there, but the people will always be there. And it's very important also with this last card on if you involve the people, focus on the mission and the common values, and that will be easier than to create this common plan. If you just get away from the short-term political, let's say, thinking and go into the mission and values. We also had some ideas about the funding should go in priority ways to those activities that fall into the common strategy and not individual disconnected projects. And it's also important to provide education provide to get awareness raising and capacity building of everybody, the whole population, including the mayor, including the staff of the municipality. And we mentioned this education could be a little bit like top down, not in a negative sense, but that it should start with educating the highest level and then go down to the regional and so on. And there's very important role for regional level, which was mentioned several times throughout our discussion. So that was our report from the SECAP, and I would invite my colleagues to confirm if I have not missed something important.
Thank you, Ursula. So I don't know if there are some additional points that should be mentioned.
Nothing to add from my side. You got everything perfectly clear. Thank you.
Yeah, it was everything great. Wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And now we move to the last breakout room session on the energy poverty, and it's my colleague Patricia who will report.
Yes. Yes, thanks, Pascal, and Julie will share the screen with the main conclusions of what we spoke about. And for energy poverty, actually, the first challenge that arose from the discussion is the actual definition. We hear about it in the presentations every this morning, what is now the definition that is providing the European directive, and it's about household. But when you go to the people on the ground, when you ask them about it, it is unclear. And the research that some of the projects that we've been hearing about, they actually receive data and feedback from participants speaking, for instance, about mobility and how the high cost of this mobility is increasing their energy poverty. And we were wondering, it is clear for them what is the energy poverty. It is clear the legal frameworks that are defining it, and the need for providing a more clear understanding, raise awareness about it, so that the needs are clearly identified based on that definition. Other of the challenges, you can see there are some overlaps with what have been already discussed in the other two breakout groups. There is some lack of concrete data on the energy poverty. What is actually the factors that are triggering this energy poverty in its case? I think there was a question about accessing disaggregated data in the morning in the chat. There are some solutions there, but still there is this lack of access to clear information. For the social innovation practices that are promoting energy poverty, apparently research has demonstrated that there is still there is not enough good practices on this that can be looked at and that can be replicated to other areas. The policy gap, because the policy implementation is mainly done more at the national level, while then the delivery is done locally. And then the funding, and here it was like there is limited funded. We were saying perhaps there are actually enough funding there, but the challenge is to understand whether the communities that want to implement it are eligible to deliver it. Is it accessible? It is manageable? So this has been some of the main challenges. Moving to the practical solutions, local events to raise awareness. This has been common in several projects in different countries. Again, really to make sure that the energy poverty concept is understood by those that are affected by it, and therefore that they can engage and take action. There is the need to recognize more the issue, to foster more best practices on social innovation in energy poverty areas. Some of the practical solutions regarding the access to data and to information has been these energy audits that the projects are doing to really understand what are the concrete needs for energy in those households. There has been a lot of discussion about the role of intermediaries, this public and private partnership, but also how to involve existing structure, which is actually connected with the supportive frameworks as well. There has been framed that in order to make sure that energy poverty is understood on the communities that are affected by it and that they're engaged on it to try to find a solution, we really need the intermediaries that are going to the ground. These are the existing local action groups, but there are also other figures. For instance, the energy social worker is a figure that exists in some countries, like in Ireland, and it's like this intermediary with the communities to understand what are the concrete needs regarding energy poverty. And there was also a proposal that has been met in Spain to the creation of social innovation centers that are showing not only these good practices on how to drive energy poverty solutions, but also to really provide technical assistance to those on the ground on how they could transfer these practices. And the need for a more clear legal framework that has at the core like this clear definition of what is energy poverty and what is all these what there is heterogeneous factors that can trigger energy poverty. So what are those factors and who can be affected by those? Which leads to the lessons and the recommendations. One of the lessons learned for the projects and the positive side is that the rural communities tend to be more cohesive and therefore because of the isolation factor perhaps, but this means that really the term of outreach to them and to mobilize them is easier than in urban settings perhaps. But they need all this awareness to really understand what is the energy poverty and how to take action upon it. And some other recommendations were like to make to increase the requirements or to make it even mandatory whenever public authorities are entering the funding for creating energy communities, that energy poverty is part of this energy poverty factor is part of any energy community, which is not the case yet. And again, for the funding, people need to be it has to be very clear that they are eligible to access those fundings, that the energy poverty is part of an action that can be taken for when using those many funds that are available, and as well to provide technical assistance to those that are going to make use of this funding to tackle energy poverty. This was in a nutshell, I believe, and if any of the colleagues in the breakout room wants to add anything, they are welcome to do it.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for this quite detailed reporting. I see some or more than some convergence between the outcomes of the three breakout sessions, but from the three angles which have been discussed in the three sessions. As it's already 22:01, so we will move to the next part. So we have asked our two experts, Maria Jose Manzon and Andrea Carosi, to make some feedbacks or reflections of what have been discussed today. I give you for both of you about 3 minutes to provide your reflection. So I will ask firstly Maria Jose provide some key comments from what you have heard today. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So, well, I think the sessions were very comprehensive and they included different aspects that can be taken into consideration as best practices. There is an opportunity with the energy transition to do a transformation of the system, and energy communities are going to be an opportunity. But this opportunity, we've seen that it needs to be accompanied by facilitating their development, because we've observed many barriers and there's still many challenges in the rural areas specifically. And also it's an opportunity to visualize the energy poverty problem in the rural areas and to utilize the renewable energy development and the energy communities development to foster as Thomas mentioned in the first session, there is an opportunity to create development in this rural territory. So, but we need to prioritize the social issues because the technological development is going faster. And we don't want to have the social issues hidden. So energy poverty has a high manifestation in rural areas because it's invisible and it's not even recognized, it's not identified yet. So we have the opportunity through these activities and through the energy transition to tackle energy poverty in rural areas. So we can provide jobs in retrofitting, in renewable energy, prioritizing the vulnerable people and to foster repopulation. We can achieve energy empowerment, training the new energy skills that are going to be required in these rural areas so that they are kept in the territory. So we can also develop meaningful relationships in the energy communities that is also required for the real capacity development of the people in rural areas. So we can develop energy efficiency measures. And to develop all these activities, we've seen that one proposal that may not have a name yet, clear name in the policies, may be the social innovation. And the social innovation, social entrepreneurship activities can be a vehicle to do this transformation, because the energy transition needs new logics and new ways of thinking to address the change of the energy system. So then the social innovation can be a tool. We've seen many examples of social innovation. Maybe they are not named as social innovation, but many great examples that can be replicated, and also that can be fostered through the network cohesion that we also discussed, and how the intermediaries are key to connect all those activities. And this is something that we are doing today, that through this intermediary activity. We are trying to, but also there can be a top-down policies that incentivize these energy poverty measures and this energy network cohesion, so that we give higher validation to the projects in rural areas that may be isolated and are not going to have the activity of replicating or going in a scale up. So in order to get benefits to the rural areas, maybe we can take advantage of these intermediary associations to bring make blossom more initiatives and then really do a change. Just we discussed about all the points that are needed, like raising awareness, working at the different levels, European, national, and local level. We discussed this, because this transition is very complex, but there will be a transformation of the regime as soon as the initiatives top-down and bottom-up connect. And well, this is mainly the conclusion that I think it was a great interventions from everyone, proposing examples, proposing activities that can be replicated, the connections can be done between the people intervening today. So I think this is what we should be looking at. And also to finally give policy recommendations that are clear to the governments, because I think there is a lack of policy recommendation in social issues and in energy communities. It's not clear because they are led by the society, so it's the less represented and the policy. So we should really do an effort to gather our efforts.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for your enthusiasm to support all the recommendations, discussions we had today. Now I'm giving the floor to Andrea to complement feedbacks on what happened, what are your main, I would say, feedbacks from the sessions.
Yeah, thanks again for really involving us in this really inspiring and interesting good practice webinar. And I'm totally agree with what shared Maria Jose Mariano right now. So I really share all points, and maybe what I can add on top is that, first of all, it's really great to see how rural municipalities are really advancing towards the energy and climate transition. Because if I think to, for example, compared to some years ago, no, several also framework programs were not there, like the European Rural Pact Support Office and so on. So it's really wonderful to see how even the small one are really inside the process. Then maybe I can just follow the discussion about the need for intermediaries. No, okay, it's super important. For example, thinking about the energy communities, not from the municipality level to the community level, but at the same time, it's super important to have intermediaries to the opposite level, no? So to the regional and national one. So energy agencies, for example, no, that are super useful for providing technical assistance, but also capacity building to the technical officers of the municipalities. But at the same time, it's important to have the regional government engaged in the process, so that they really can engage with local authorities and at the same time bring the voice to the national government, and linking also the funding of for the implementation of the projects, no? Then it's great to see that, okay, the topics are already identified. So we know energy poverty, mitigation, adaptation. So all small municipalities already knows what are their challenges, let's say locally, no, from the topic point of view. Solutions as well. There are plenty of examples of solutions, like energy communities. It's a great solution for several criticalities, let's say. So we have not to reinvent the wheels, but of course, all municipalities all over Europe are sharing the same challenges. So this is also something that it's a critical aspect, but at the same time, it's helpful because it can guarantee that networking and good practice sharing sometimes can be really useful, no? Because you can really get inspiration from other pioneers, examples that are really advancing. And last things are, sorry, I just took a lot of notes. Okay, we need to involve all levels, let's say. So things are happening at the local level, the impacts as well, but as I told before, we need to involve really all levels of governance. And it's important, I think it's pretty clear here, and I think also the topic of the 3 working groups were really well thought. Like we have the topic, the energy poverty, we have the big solution, one of the solution, like the energy community, but at the same time we need to start from a political vision, political strategy, and technical action plan. Like could be the SECAP, for example, okay, but other countries maybe call it like climate and energy plan, but this is pretty clear, and this is what really came out in our working group. So the mayor can be really the crucial player to really make the transition happening. So those are my takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you very much.